In a quiet little town in Vermont, surrounded by pine-covered hills and calm blue lakes, lived Evelyn and Mark. They had been married for 12 years, not perfect but real. The kind of couple who fought over small things like burnt toast, but still held hands during evening walks. Mark was a carpenter, patient, grounded, and deeply in love with his work. Evelyn was a painter full of color and imagination. Together, they built a life that was simple, peaceful, and full of dreams. They weren't rich, but their love had made their tiny house feel like a palace. Every corner had a story, the porch Mark built by hand. The paintings Evelyn hung on the walls, and the laughter that echoed through every room. But sometimes, love isn't destroyed by storms or outside forces. It's slowly eaten away by something far quieter: doubt. One autumn evening, while Mark was working late, Evelyn noticed something strange: a text on his phone from an unknown number. It read, "Thanks for the coffee today. I really needed that talk." Her heart sank. Mark came home smiling, covered in sawdust. But Evelyn couldn't see the warmth in his eyes anymore. She only saw that message replaying in her mind. Instead of asking him directly, she stayed quiet. Her silence grew colder with each passing day. Her once loving glances turned into suspicion. Her laughter turned into forced smiles. Mark felt it, the distance. Couldn't understand why she was changing. He tried asking, "Evie, what's wrong?" But her answer was always the same: nothing. One evening, while he was making dinner, Evelyn finally broke down. Tears rolling down her cheeks, she asked, "Who is she, Mark?" Mark froze. Who? Who are you talking about? The woman you had coffee with? I saw the message. Don't lie to me. Mark sighed and took out his phone. Evelyn, that was Sarah, the new intern at the workshop. She lost her father last week. She was crying at the cafe, and I just listened. That's it. But by then, the damage was already done. Evelyn's doubt had built a wall between them, one that love couldn't easily climb over. The next few weeks were filled with silence, tension, and sleepless nights. Mark tried to explain, tried to rebuild her trust, but Evelyn's heart was clouded with guilt and confusion. Then one night after another argument, Mark quietly packed a small bag. He looked at her one last time and said, "I never thought I'd lose you, not to another person, but to your own imagination." And he left. Days turned into weeks. Evelyn would wake up and reach for the other side of the bed, cold and empty. The house that once felt alive now echoed with loneliness. One afternoon, while cleaning, she found an old letter inside Marquez's drawer, something he had written months ago for their anniversary. It read, "To the love of my life, I know I don't say it enough, but you make ordinary days feel magical. Thank you for choosing me every day." Her hands trembled. The guilt hit her like a wave. She realized it wasn't betrayal that destroyed their love. It was doubt. That night, Evelyn stood by the window watching the rain fall, whispering to herself, "When love is true, it doesn't need proof. It just needs trust." She called Mark the next morning, but he didn't answer. So she wrote him a letter, honest, raw, and full of apology. Weeks later, she got a reply. Mark wrote back, "I forgive you, Evelyn, but sometimes love needs space to heal. I hope one day we find our way back wiser and kinder." Years passed. Evelyn continued. Painting her art changed. Her colors became softer, deeper. Every painting carried a quiet sadness, a story untold. And sometimes, at local art fairs, she would see Mark across the crowd, smiling faintly, proud of her from afar. They never remarried. But there was no anger between them, just a deep understanding of what love once was and what doubt had taken away. One of Evelyn's most famous paintings was called "When Doubt Destroys What Love Built." It showed two hands reaching out for each other, close enough to touch, but never quite meeting. When a reporter once asked her, "What does this painting mean to you?" she smiled sadly and said, "It means love is fragile. It's not destroyed by distance or time, only by the fear that it isn't real." And that, perhaps, is the greatest lesson this story holds. Trust is love's foundation. Once it cracks, even the strongest relationship can crumble. So before you doubt the person who loves you, before you let insecurity whisper lies in your ear, remember, sometimes, the heart you suspect is the same heart that would have stood by you forever. Because when doubt destroys what love built, it's not love that loses, it's you. Moral: love can survive storms, distance, and hardship. But it cannot survive doubt. Trust is the bridge between hearts once it breaks. Only forgiveness can rebuild it.